Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, hi, my name is Monica. I like to post anti-MLMs, that's anti-multi-level marketing, and some true crime content here on this channel. So if any of that interests you, make sure to hit that subscribe button. I would love for you to stick around. In today's video, I'm bringing you, I guess you can say, an anti-scam kind of a video. We're going to be going over timeshares in today's video. One of you guys had sent me this suggestion, I want to say over a year ago now probably, and it's been on my list of things to look into, but I just never really sat down, started to do the research for it and get into it. I finally decided that I wanted to do this video, especially because I stumbled upon I guess you could say an article from the FTC. Well, it is an article from the FTC that was titled, I have it written somewhere here, Timeshares, Vacation Clubs, and Related Scams. The reason why I wanted to go over it is because not only are people getting sucked into these timeshares, but they're also, after that, getting scammed with timeshare resale scams. So, try to say that 5 times fast. But I wanted to finally sit down, research it, go over everything. Of course, this is all based on my opinion and my research. Please do your own research, educate yourself on this topic as well, because there might be things that I don't put in this video that are that's pertinent information for you. Maybe you or someone you know has a timeshare that they're trying to sell, or maybe you or someone you know is looking to purchase a timeshare. So I always encourage everyone to do your own research. All of my sources will be linked in the description box below. Another reason why I wanted to kind of talk about this is because I have my own personal story with working for a resort. I will not be saying what the resort's name is, but I did work for a resort that I didn't know at the time of the interview and getting hired and everything, that it was to sell timeshares that they had in their resort. So the way that it was set up for me was, I saw on, I forget if it was on Indeed or it was one of those sites where, you know, you apply for the job and stuff like that. And the title of the position was marketing, I think it was marketing manager or marketing representative, something like that, but it has something to do with marketing. So I was super excited about it because I really wanted to get into marketing, and because I studied that in school. So I thought this would be perfect. This is when we moved down to Florida. So I was like, we're in a completely new place. I can kind of start fresh and go from there. When I went into the interview process, they told me that I would be working at a booth and that I would be also talking to customers about the different resorts and different places they can vacation to within this said resort. Again, not going to say their name. So I was excited because I thought I was going to get this kind of training where I'd be able to, and they even said, oh yeah, you'll get free vacations, like you get an all expenses paid for you and someone else to some of our other resorts. So I thought that'd be pretty cool for my husband and I, because we could travel and have a free resort stay in or wherever we wanted. They never once said the term timeshare in the interview process. They never even called it a vacation club or anything. They just said that I would be talking about the different resort locations and stuff like that. So when I started my first day, the location that I started at wasn't going to be the location that was going to be my full-time location, because my full-time location was going to be at a different hotel that was further down the road, and it was inside of the hotel. It wasn't in the resort area. So my first day, I went to this very highly traffic area of like foot traffic, because you can't drive through there. And it is here in where I live in Florida, or not where I live, but a little bit further away. And there's a lot of resorts and everything there. So they had me walk into, and mind you, I'm wearing full business attire, heels and everything, because I thought it was going to be me sitting at a booth, me training and learning about the different resorts, learning about the different hotels, the locations that we have and stuff like that. No, that's not what it was. and they had me, I was standing at this like bar table almost. It was kind of like I guess, kind of like when you go to the bar and you have those like standing tables. So whatever, no big deal. Okay, we're gonna train this way. That's totally fine. So I go there, and then they tell me that, oh, the way that you get people is you talk to tourists that are walking down this boardwalk, this strip. So I was like, okay, so pretty much what it reminded me of was the people that you see at Costco who are trying to sell stuff, and it's those Devil Corp slave circle type companies. That's what it reminded me of. I was like, yeah, this is not for me. But I gave it a chance because I was thinking, okay, well, as the day goes on, maybe I'll learn something, and I'm not going to be talking to these people here. I'm going to be physically in a hotel, and it's going to be set up a little bit differently. But what I didn't know until I want to say maybe about 2 hours in, that this was to sell timeshare tours for the resort. Not for me to sit down and learn about the different resorts and to market the different resorts and try to get people to sign up for a vacation for the following year. No, this was to get them to go on a tour for a timeshare, and we would get a commission off of if the person would go on this tour. Not a very big commission, but a decent sized commission. And then they would go on the tour, and then whoever brought them on the tour, if they actually got them to buy something, then they would get a commission off of that. But the way that we would entice people is to say that, oh, well, you can get a free, I forget if it was the free dolphin, to see the dolphins, like a free pass to see the dolphins. I think that there was also free dinners or something like that at the restaurants that were in the area. And I forget what else there was. This was a couple of years ago already. Needless to say, I didn't last longer than a week there. I think I quit on day 4 because I really tried to give it a chance. I did, because I thought, okay, maybe if I work for this position long enough, I can work in the office. And that's what I was hoping that it was going to be, was more of an office type setting. I didn't know that it was going to be this type of, in my opinion, scammy, shady way of annoying people who are just trying to be on vacation. That was my experience. Like I said, I didn't last more than 4 days, but yeah, without further ado, now that I've rambled for a good portion of this video, let's get into what these timeshares are, where they originated from. I have some footage that I want to also show you guys and go over. But yeah, let's just get into it. According to Investopedia, a timeshare is a shared ownership model of vacation real estate in which multiple purchasers own allotments of usage, typically in 1-week increments in the same property. The timeshare model can be applied to many different types of properties, such as vacation resorts, condominiums, apartments, and campgrounds. Timeshares are a type of fractional ownership, which is when you only own a certain percentage of something. You usually have to pay for your portion of the timeshare and maintenance fees. Key takeaways from Investopedia regarding these timeshares are: a timeshare is a shared ownership model of vacation property whereby multiple owners have exclusive use of a property for a period of time. Timeshares are available for various types of vacation properties, such as resorts, condominiums, and apartments. Timeshares are available for a fixed week. A buyer has a set week each year or a floating week. Use of the property is limited to a season. Timeshare benefits include vacationing in a professionally managed resort in a predictable setting. Timeshare drawbacks include a lack of flexibility in making changes, annual maintenance fees, and difficulty reselling one. I'll be honest, before I did the research for this, I had no idea where timeshares originated from. The only opinion that I had was that I've heard too many horror stories and they seem kind of scammy to me, especially after working for that one hotel or resort that I just told you guys about, and I didn't like the deceptive marketing tactics. Before we get into more about timeshares and the background of them, let's stop to take a quick look at this video from Richard Siegel, who is the son of the founder and CEO of Westgate. He is no longer listed on the company website, but I need to show the type of tactics he was spewing when he was part of Westgate. Hey guys, editing Monica here. Unfortunately, I kept getting a copyright claim for the clip I wanted to use, no matter how many times I altered the image and audio, added music, so I won't be able to play that here for y'all today. I would just upload it and not monetize the video because that's how problematic this 1-minute clip is, but any ad revenue that would play on the video would go to the copyright owner, and I'm not about to let them monetize an entire video I worked really hard on. I will leave it linked in the description box below because the channel I found it on isn't monetized, so they probably don't care either way if they have it on their channel, but they also uploaded just a clip while I have an entire video that's only having 1 minute being claimed. So for the rest of the video, if I reference this clip, just watch it after you watch my video to truly see how horrible and problematic it really is. Richard, reps who sell timeshares are not like doctors, nurses, firefighters, police officers, or lifeguards. Timeshare sellers are not saving lives. Going on vacation is one thing, but a timeshare is a completely different topic. He also states to lie to their potential clients, or I would actually call them prey in this situation because these tactics are so predatory, in my opinion, of course. Richard even went on to say, quote, 100% of the people we are talking to are, it's not a nice word, but we call them mooches. They're coming in for a sales presentation on their vacation for a free gift. So we train our salespeople on how to take someone greedy like that and get them to buy today. We do 100% of our sales on the first day. They will not buy today if you don't get a great deal, if they don't believe that they are getting a great deal. Time sharing, you sell every unit 52 times because you sell it by the week, end quote. Don't worry, we will be going over these sales presentations later on in the video, so you'll have a better understanding. But my God, this guy is Danny DeVito's used car salesman character in Matilda, I swear. The FTC states that the law that governs timeshares are specific to the state where the property is located. The sales staff may tell you that a timeshare is a solid financial asset, but the value of a timeshare is in its use as a vacation destination, not as an investment. Now onto the history of timeshares. I've seen different sources saying that it originated in France or Switzerland. Some sources say it originated in Switzerland first. I'm going to go by the one timeline I was able to find that shows on September 23rd, 1963, Alexander Netty and his partner, Dr. Guido Rengli, started a company that I'll put the name of it up on the screen because I don't want to butcher the pronunciation, but it was referred to as Happy Mug. They started this company in Bar, Switzerland. This was a company that started this concept of people who travel to enjoy a rent-free vacation. Around the same time, between the years of 1964 to 1968 in France, there was a man by the name of Paul Daumier who worked for the development company that I'll put the name of it up on the screen, just like I just did a few minutes ago, because I don't want to butcher the name, who also came up with his own idea of what a timeshare would be. He would do this with his company's ski resort in the French Alps. In addition, he said, quote, "It is cheaper to buy the hotel than to rent the room," end quote. I can understand where he was trying to go with that saying in general, because a good example is we currently rent our home and we want to buy our first house within the next 2 years because at least at that point, the house is something that we can sell in the future. It would be an asset, whereas right now we're paying rent and that money that we're paying, it's not going towards a mortgage, for example, but it's going to a landlord. Also, please don't take this out of context. There's nothing wrong with renting. Every person's situation is different, and renting has made sense to us for the last several years. Wikipedia says that the first timeshare came to the United States in 1974 by the Caribbean International Corporation in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, that offered a 25-year vacation license rather than ownership. Another source said something different, so let me share what that source said, and we will just have to take this information with a grain of salt. That source says that the Hilton in Maui, Hawaii, was America's first hotel condo timeshare, and it was built in October of 1965. Vacation International became part of the industry in 1969 when the founders Bob Burns and Bob Ringerberg began selling timeshare weeks at their Kauai hotel through RTU contracts. RTU stands for right to use. In 1973, Brockway Springs in Lake Tahoe, California, was the first deeded timeshare program in the United States. 1974 is when Vacation International introduced a points program which was supposed to help timeshare owners have more flexibility. In addition, Florida also added one of their resorts into the timeshare industry, which was Sanibel Beach Club on Sanibel Island. Apparently, that sold out in 18 months. Then in 1974, there was an exchange company called Resort Condominiums International that was created by Crystal and John DeHaan. Crystal and John created this concept of timeshare exchanges, which means that the timeshare owners would be able to exchange their week for another destination, which would in turn make timeshares seem more desirable. RCI was one of the biggest timeshare exchange companies as of the time the article that I found this information from was written, so clearly the idea worked. In 1976, Interval International was founded by Thomas J. David Jr. and Mario Rodriguez. They were RCI's competition, but the difference is Interval International was marketed as an upscale version of RCI. Because of these exchange companies, sales for timeshares increased in the 1980s. Then by the 1990s, well-known hotels such as Marriott, Hilton, Hyatt, Disney, and Ritz-Carlton had timeshares as well. With timeshares also came resale scams as well, but we will get into that later in this video. What's sad is that you'll have really terrible marketing tactics, as I already showed earlier, but here's another one that I found on YouTube.
And then, did I tell you what the Mexicans, my nickname was?
No.
It was Mr. AT&T. Okay,
Oh, yeah, because
I'd be on the phone, there was nobody there, and I'd be talking to Irvine, California.
Doing the closer.
And the Mexicans couldn't understand how I could do this for 10, 15 minutes at a time. There's nobody there. And I was having a conversation with allegedly corporate.
Yeah.
The customers.
Oh, let me call corporate. We'll see if we can get this
See
handled.
what they said.
Well, it was very ballsy. And you know what? I have to tie something in. I think you guys will appreciate it. The reason why I was probably slow to start to bring you guys in is because I was allowed to do, I really want you to hear this, I was allowed to do my own drops at the table. And when I did a drop, I would make them puke at 15.5 for 1 week, and I would hold at 15.5, and they'd vomit continuously. Nobody wants to pay $15,500 for 1 week of timeshare, and I wouldn't let them off the hook. I was trained not to let them off the hook. And when I went ahead and, you know what I do? I'd say, folks, there's nothing I can do, and I am so sorry. I'm gonna get you guys back on vacation. 70% of the deals were after I said,
It's a
I'm going to
takeaway.
get
It's
you.
the same as your
It's a takeaway.
Well, but you know what else? But what else would happen? Not
it.
only was it a takeaway, but what else was happening with them? They were being completely let off the hook, and they were done. And in that moment, they completely dropped and relaxed. It was like, oh, this guy's done with us. Thank goodness.
In the right
Agreed,
direction.
completely. And so what would happen is I would do from 15.5, and they would, the word was,
They're on the ceiling. They're on the
make them puke. I was drilled into me.
Same thing. Put
Hold
them
it
on
at
the ceiling.
15.5. Hold it, and nobody sold timeshare at 15.5 for 1 week. That was outrageous. And they'd puke and puke and puke, but I'd hold and hold and hold. Then when I got on the phone with Mr. Nobody in Irvine, California, Mr. AT&T, and they actually, literally, that was my nickname, Mr. AT&T. And they did diagrams of me on the phone, like they did little. Anyway, I would drop to about 8,200 or sometimes 7,600. It was a radical
half
drop,
price,
radical drop.
And then
And what happened was, yes, a lot of the time, because I held so well and lined them, I lined them also, but closed them. They would go, okay, we'll take that repo. Of course, it's not a fucking repo. There's no such thing as a repo. But it's a great word. Because it's not fee simple. You don't own it, so you can't repo it. It's just time. But the point is the word worked.
Right.
The word worked. Anyway, thank you.
Yeah, no problem, Dave.
And
Thank you for sharing
some of your past
timeshare.
with us.
I have a lot of other things too, but
I know,
we'll do that when time allows.
We'll have another thing. Thank you.
Since you have a little bit of background on timeshares now, let's very briefly go over the different types. There are different types of timeshares: a shared deeded ownership, a shared leased ownership, and a points-based timeshare. The deeded ownership is when each buyer gets a percentage share of the physical property corresponding to the time period purchased. This is all on Investopedia, by the way. Most resort condos are sold in increments of 1 week, which would mean they can have a total of 52 deeds. And if that's the case, buying 1 week would mean you have 1/52nd ownership interest. Usually this type of ownership can be resold to another person or put in a will. With a shared leased ownership interest timeshare, this is when the buyer can use a specific property for a fixed or floating week or weeks. With this type of timeshare, the developer owns the deed and the property, unlike the deeded ownership where the owner holds the deed. Property transfers and resales are way more restrictive. In turn, this means that a leased ownership interest may have a lower value than a deeded timeshare. Points-based timeshares let you use your allotted timeshare points at different properties. The amount of points needed will vary depending on the property location, length of stay, and time of year. I can't see what would be the advantage of having a timeshare, but again, the one article that I've referenced quite a bit so far on Investopedia had a lot of really great information about timeshares, but they believe there are advantages and disadvantages along with pros and cons. So let's go over those real quick. Advantages. Timeshares are owned by large corporations in desirable locations. The properties themselves usually have resort-type amenities and services and are professionally managed. Usually they are managed better than the typical hotel room. For people who vacation at the same time every year and like to go to the same spot, timeshares make sense for them. Disadvantages. There are ongoing costs that can get high because you have to pay up front for the timeshare and then the annual maintenance fees. For some, the cost of owning a timeshare may be higher than just staying at a resort or a nicer hotel for a week. Another disadvantage is there is very little flexibility to change a fixed week timeshare. A floating week has to be reserved in advance and is usually on a first come, first served basis. Not to mention, the contract is a binding one, so they can't just leave when their circumstances change. As some may know, it's a little harder to resell a timeshare if it's even allowed in the contract. This also opens up the doors for resale scams. Timeshares don't seem to be a great investment because they do tend to depreciate rather quickly, and there are always owners trying to get out of their contracts. According to the same Investopedia article, here are the pros and cons that they provided. Pros. Familiar location every year without any unpleasant surprises, resort-like amenities and services, avoids the hassle booking a new vacation every year. Cons. Ongoing costs can be significant, little flexibility when changing weeks or the contract, timeshares are difficult to resell, aggressive marketing practices. I mean, just looking at that pros and cons list, yeah, I think that the cons kind of take over the pros. But anyway, I haven't seen ads or promotions for any vacation clubs, but if you have, the FTC has a few things to say about those. These are a variation of a timeshare. The way that it works is you pay an initial fee and then you're able to select the resorts you'd like to stay at. The difference between this and a normal timeshare is that you have to pay every single time you stay at the resort. Some vacation clubs will try to entice you to sign up for their club by claiming that you can get discounts on travel, lodging, or other amenities related to a vacation. According to the FTC, if you have a marketer or salesperson using the term vacation club, they might be talking about different things. However, in one article I found by the FTC, they had some great bullet points on what to look for, so I wanted to present that as well. Find out the true costs, add up all the payments, including the initial payment fees, taxes, and travel costs to get there, plus any other yearly charges. Is that the amount you want to spend on a vacation every year? And don't forget to take things into consideration, like the pandemic that we have been going through. I'm sure a lot of people had to cancel their vacations, so take that into consideration as well, that sometimes things will arise where you just cannot go on vacation. If there is an exchange program, be clear on how it works. If they say you can exchange your points or weeks to vacation at different properties, find out if there's an extra charge for booking a property through the exchange or different charges for different types of properties. Is this still a good deal? If there's a point system, understand the details. Many timeshares and vacation clubs use a point system, but not all work the same way. Typically, the number of points you need to stay where you want depends on the length of your stay, the type of unit you'd like, where the resort is located, and when you want to go. Consider whether you'll have the points you need to take the kind of vacations you want. Find out if you're allowed to buy points and how much that costs. Keep in mind that a timeshare's annual maintenance fees typically go up every year. Most timeshares have an annual maintenance fee. Those fees can rise at rates that equal or exceed inflation, so ask whether your plan has a fee cap. You'll have to pay fees and taxes even if you don't use a unit. Know what happens if you want to get out. In many instances, it can be tough to sell a timeshare. Find out if there's an exit program and how it works. If you're considering a vacation club, make sure you know how to cancel if you don't want to be enrolled anymore. With timeshares also comes timeshare resale scams. Because for some, it might be incredibly hard to sell their timeshare, they'll do whatever they can and look for last resorts to get rid of it. Not only did the person enter into something that's terrible, but now they can possibly be scammed trying to resell it. The sad part is people will fall for it, just like people still fall for those scammers that call you and tell you that there's a warrant out for your arrest because you owe the IRS money, but if you send them a gift card or your banking information, it will all magically be resolved right there over the phone. If you're planning on selling your timeshare, make sure to contact the timeshare developer or the resort's management company to ask them what your options are. The American Resort Development Association also has a way to help identify which company you need to speak with regarding selling. There may also be extra information that they can give you as well. According to the FTC, the phrases to look for with these timeshare resale companies are things like, the market is so hot, so we can easily sell your unit. Your timeshare will sell quickly, or it will sell out in months. We have lots of buyers ready to purchase your timeshare. We can guarantee you'll get big returns on your resale. There are ways that the FTC recommends to avoid these resale scams. I wish that one day the FTC will take action against timeshare companies or resort companies as well, because we wouldn't have to worry about these resale scams if we took care of the root cause of the problem. I know that the FTC can't police everything that goes on, but maybe one day some kind of change can happen to save consumers from being severely affected by these scammers. They say to check out the reseller. You can do this by contacting the state attorney general and local consumer protection agencies in the state where the reseller is located. When you contact them, you can ask if the reseller has any complaints on file. Another way is you can just go on Google and search the reseller's name along with the words complaint and scam attached to it. This is how I look up some of the MLMs I look into as well. Another thing to do is ask about the fees associated with reselling. If you have to pay a fee in advance, get refund policies in writing. Ask if the reseller's agents are licensed to sell real estate where your timeshare is located. The FTC recommends dealing with only licensed real estate agents and brokers. You should also ask for references from satisfied clients. Ask how the reseller will advertise and promote the timeshare unit. Are you going to get progress reports, and if so, how often? The reasoning behind this is because you want to make sure that the resellers are being active. If a reseller just lists your timeshare and doesn't do anything proactive to sell it, that's not really going to do much. The last piece of advice from the FTC is to get everything in writing. Make sure to read the contract all the way through and have everything that the reseller told you verbally in writing. Don't sign the contract if anything seems to be incorrect. This should honestly really be applied to everything in your life. Let's go over the infamous tour that potential buyers go on during these timeshare presentations. I already told my story earlier in this video as to how people were in my position would start the process of going on this tour, but I never actually went on one of these tours, so I did have to look it up. If anyone's experience was any different, please leave it in the comment section below. I'd love to hear your experience. But this is what I found on Wikipedia. I know that's not a good source, but it's a great starting point. And yeah, from what I was trained, the little training that I got, this sounds pretty, I guess you can say, not necessarily accurate, but the closest thing to what these tours, I guess, would be. But once you get sucked into one of these presentations, you may be seated in a room that has a bunch of tables and chairs. Apparently, these are called hospitality rooms, which is a term that was started by the sales industry in the 1960s. Once you're in this hospitality room, you'll be assigned a tour guide. This isn't how it was at the place that I worked at, though. We would call the office that had all of the tour guides, and we'd see if we could assign someone over the phone and then tell the potential buyer of the timeshare or the person going on the tour what times were available. I don't know about you, but when I'm on vacation, even if I'm offered something for free, I don't want to be tied down to a specific time for a presentation. I'd rather just get it over with and just be done with it. I know some people really want that free item, but I would honestly just say F it if I had to wait a few hours. I have better shit to do while I'm on vacation, which was the case for quite a number of people we came across when we tried to tell them about this amazing tour that they can go on. Sometimes the tour guides are licensed real estate agents, but not all the time. The cost of the timeshare can only be quoted by a licensed real estate agent in the United States, unless the purchase is a right to use timeshare. Before you go on the tour, you're shown a presentation or a quick movie that I'm assuming is a bunch of stock footage of happy people laughing and having a great time while on vacation with some kind of voiceover or an actor telling you about this amazing timeshare opportunity. That's total sarcasm, just FYI. I've read that some people were told the tour and presentation only takes 90 minutes, but that they were stuck there for almost the entire day, while others say it was a few hours long. Where I worked, I can't remember exactly how long the presentations and tours were, but since we were constantly booking tours, the tours weren't half a day or anything ridiculous like that. After you take the tour, you're given a sales pitch and some history about the timeshare. You're given some information like an exchange book and brochures. If the tour guide is licensed, they will be able to provide you a price, and if not, you have to speak to a licensed agent. If you tell the tour guide or the licensed agent you want to think about it, they'll ask you to speak with one of their managers just to get more information. It's just a high-pressure sales tactic. This is a way for them to get you to cave or try to persuade you more into buying a timeshare. As you've seen in 2 videos that I've shared in this video thus far, one timeshare salesman and the one staff meeting, it's obvious that some of these people will do whatever it takes, even if that means lying to get something out of you. I mean, at the end of the day, their paycheck depends on it. Some people don't care that they're deceiving people in order to get ahead. That's probably one of the reasons why I quit after less than a week. Let's go over some lawsuits associated with timeshares and timeshare resale scams. When I went on this one website, they were able to provide current pending lawsuits and a brief overview of each of them. I won't be going over every single one because there are quite a number of them, but I will pick a few to go over. The link to the lawsuits will be linked below as per usual. The pending lawsuits are broken up into categories. Those categories include a whistleblower against developers, timeshare owner action against Westgate, Diamond, and Wyndham, the whistleblower. Amilcar versus Wyndham is a mass whistleblower lawsuit in which 10 former Wyndham sales representatives and other staff represented by attorneys Wolf Florin and Thomas Robig Jr. allege that Wyndham retaliated against them for objecting to and or refusing to participate in Wyndham's unlawful, unethical, and fraudulent sales practices, including practicing real estate without a license, confusing and misleading buyers or wearing them down so they would buy property, misdirecting buyers to points charts that depicted false information, advising buyers that a Wyndham timeshare is an investment and its value would increase over time, instructing buyers that the property was not a timeshare, misrepresenting to buyers the effect of completing a credit application, altering buyers' income level on the credit application, advising buyers that Wyndham would buy back their property, preying upon the elderly, misrepresenting the nature of a Club Wyndham Access purchase, overselling timeshares, resulting in many owners not being able to use their timeshare due to overbooking, advising owners and especially the elderly to purchase more points and keep making the same monthly loan payment while paying off their loan, when in actuality, Wyndham simply extended the repayment term, and instructing sales representatives to do whatever they have to do to close deals, even if it was unlawful or unethical. The complaint includes state whistleblower claims and negligent supervision and retention, and contains prayers for back pay and benefits, front pay and or lost earning capacity, emotional distress damages, attorney's fees, and punitive damages. There have been proposed class action lawsuits against the company Westgate. If you remember from earlier in this video, I played the video of the founder's son at a staff meeting trying to compare being a timeshare salesperson to that of doctors, nurses, firefighters, etc., and trying to say that timeshare salespeople save lives. Not to mention, he also stated to lie to people that they are showing the timeshares too. While the one lawsuit, Moore versus Westgate, 10 representative timeshare owners that were represented by their attorneys allege on behalf of themselves and other similarly situated timeshare owners that Westgate's high-pressure scheme to sell floating use plans for Westgate's Smoky Mountain Resorts timeshares involves convincing prospective purchasers to buy into its vacation timeshare program while failing to disclose to buyers legally required information that was contained in a secret pocket of a portfolio that Westgate provides to purchasers. The plaintiffs each allege that Westgate fails to provide purchasers with adequate access to their timeshares. The timeshare owners claim fraud, negligent misrepresentation, unjust enrichment, breach of contract, breach of covenant of fair dealing, civil conspiracy, and violation of the Tennessee Timeshare Act. A jury trial was set for February 8th of this year, 2021. There are more details, but you can read that on your own time because it's a lot. There are a few lawsuits against Diamond and then quite a number against Wyndham, But like I said, I'll leave the website link below. There was a class action lawsuit that was made against Wyndham where the timeshare owners said that the company defrauds customers. They had claimed that the company said in the presentation that the timeshares are offered at low prices in destinations all over the world. However, the customers stated that once it comes down to book one of these timeshares, it's almost impossible to do so. And after they looked at it financially, they said it's cheaper to just buy a vacation rather than the timeshare. Sadly, though, this class action lawsuit was dismissed on July 26th of 2021. Remember how I spoke about the timeshare resale scams? Well, I did find a lawsuit where the Office of Florida State Attorney General Ashley Moody did secure restitution for victims of a resale scam. The lawsuit was against Brandon Walsh, the owner of Premier Rental Solutions and Paramount Property Professionals, and he entered a guilty plea to the charges that were related to a timeshare resale scam operating out of Orlando. The article stated that at least 50 Floridians lost money to the deceptive actions of Walsh, PRS, and PPP that targeted timeshare owners with the promise of the quick sale of property. According to the investigation by the Orlando Police Department between 2015 to 2017, Walsh used these companies of his to mislead timeshare owners in an effort to coerce them into signing contracts and paying a marketing fee. Walsh will pay $87,000 in restitution to Florida victims of the scam, an average of approximately $1,750 per victim. He pled guilty to grand theft, which is a second-degree felony. He will also serve 11 months in Orange County Jail, followed by 4 years of probation. According to the Attorney General Ashley Moody, she said, quote, "Many people struggle to sell their timeshare contracts, and it is reprehensible that someone would take advantage of their desire to sell in order to steal their hard-earned money, turning the possibility of light at the end of the tunnel into financial loss. I am proud of my statewide prosecutors for securing restitution for Florida victims of this fraud." End quote. In conclusion, because that's all that I have for you guys today, I just wanted to say a few things. So the first thing is always sit down and think about something. Don't just act on impulse, because that's what these timeshare presentations are trying to do. And they're using FOMO, or fear of missing out, as a way to try to sell you this. I mean, in my opinion, it's a terrible thing. It's not an investment. It's way too aggressive the sales tactics are way too aggressive, at least in my opinion. But really truly research something before getting into it. And that goes for really anything in life. Not just for these timeshares or these resale scams that are going on, but for anything in your life. Always research everything. Always question everything. Even when you watch my videos, always research on your own time and question things that I say. I've had people correct me in the comment section before, and I love that, because sometimes I do kind of go off on a tangent and sometimes I have misspoke in the past. But other times it's stuff that I just didn't know about, and people educate me in the comment section, and I love that. But anyway, that is all that I have for you guys today. You let me know what you think in the comment section below, and I will see you guys next time. This is Monica reporting to you live from a highway. Bye!